Let's tell you that supplementary elections will hold in several parts of the country tomorrow. Governorship supplementary elections will hold in Adamawa and Kebbi State, and there are 34 House of Rep seats to be filled in the tomorrow exercise across the several federal constituency where elections were not concluded the last time. And for the Senate seat, of course, there are 8 seats to be concluded across the different. So you can see in all of the states and the number of seats that are up for contest tomorrow. Is INEC really ready for this exercise? What are the lessons to be learned from what happened in the last elections? Let's get some views and perspectives from Hamzat Lawal, who is the Chief Executive of Connected Development, one of those who monitored the elections of 2023 in the 25th of February and March the 11th. Thank you so much, Hamzat, for joining us tonight. What are your expectations? But for what you heard, I know you are in the Lesser Hajj in Saudi Arabia, but I know that some of your team are on the ground. Give us an understanding of what you are hearing in respect of tomorrow's exercise in several parts of the country.
Well, thank you very much, Sean, for having me. CODE will deploy observers to the states where supplementary elections are holding tomorrow. And what we're hearing, citizens are actually excited, and they're glad that INEC actually declared some of these results inconclusive and have decided to ensure that there are supplementary elections. And knowing that there will be no much pressure but on INEC, but on security and also the electorate. And we've also been monitoring charters of what politicians are saying, but at the ruling and the opposition front. So it's going to be an exciting and heat-free election. So INEC have also given us confidence that the beavers would be deployed. Some materials have been deployed to the rack centers, and that they're going to ensure that the beavers function at optimal performance, and the IREF also platform would be ready to upload results in real time.
So there are 2 governorship elections hanging, Kebbi and Adamawa State. The controversies that are being generated, the comparison between what happened in Kaduna, what happened in Ogun and in some parts of the country, and those who say, why are these cases different? The argument of those who think, look, there are validly potential votes in those areas which are more than the number of votes that have been cancelled in those elections. And on what grounds will INEC say there will be supplementary election? But it does look to me that the vehicle has moved past that bus stop. INEC will conduct elections in those states. But, how do you perceive the outcome, the turnout of voter for tomorrow's exercise, based on what voter generally saw in the governorship and in the National Assembly and the presidential election?
Well, in terms of voter turnout, we're optimistic that a lot of people will come out tomorrow because these elections are closer to the grassroots. These are people who would represent their various constituency, and this is going to be the chief implementer of the states. That's the 2 states that supplementary election would hold for the executive governors. And Sean, these politicians are speaking from a position of selfishness and interest. And I wouldn't want to dwell on, the technicalities on that and why INEC resolved on their position. But for me, as an election observer and deploying one of the largest boots on the ground, we're not keen on the results. We're actually keen on the process, and this process would inform what becomes the outcome. And so that we'll not be mad with a lot of litigation, and then so that the Nigerian people can start trusting the independent electoral body and believing in our electoral system and leadership recruitment processes. But for tomorrow, we're very optimistic that people are actually going to come out to vote, because it was a lot of time for mobilization, for sensitization, and reorganizing both for political party, for the electoral empire, and also for security agencies. I also know that the joint security agencies have also given vote of confidence that there will be a lot of deployment of security personnel, and they would curtail any foreseen violence or any form of interference by any political talk or anybody who wants to mar the process. So we're very confident of this process tomorrow, and particularly the key stakeholders that would make it possible, particularly the electorate.
Let's take a look at Adamawa, Kebbi State. And if you look at what we saw, this race, this contest will basically between, in Adamawa State, between the incumbent governor, Ahmadu Fintiri, and Ms. Aishatu Benani. Look at that contest ahead of tomorrow, and perhaps the kind of tension we saw ahead of just going to be in about 96 or so polling units where the polls are going to be conducted in Adamawa State. Look at the terrain, look at the kind of conversation that have been held, and look at the potentials of if the election goes either way, what are the possibility, or what are you seeing generally in terms of what is in the horizon, not only for the people of Adamawa State, but for our political climate generally?
Well, you see, Adamawa is really interesting. One, because when you look at insurgency in the Northeast, Adamawa is one state that have actually done well in countering insurgency, but also building back, better from the effects of the insurgency. Yes, we know that for gender advocate, they're excited about tomorrow. They want to see it sway, where we would have probably the first female elected governor of a state in Nigeria. But I think again, we can't be emotional about these things. And if you when you look at the analysis and look at which persons or which of the opposite side stronghold are these elections going to happen, it's relatively clear that it would sway one way. A winner would be declared for sure. But again, for us, we want to be we're more keen on looking at the processes. I also think that for our security agency, particularly the anti-corruption agency, they need to be on high alert. We know that they're going to be a lot of voter inducements tomorrow. Even from our pre-election assessment reports, it has shown that a lot of people, and the fact that the court has also ruled that we can use the old Naira note. So there'll be a lot of cash exchanging hands tomorrow, and they have to be on high alert to arrest people and also ensure that people are able to exercise their franchise without being induced or swayed by any material.
Yeah, just about 32,000 or thereabout votes between Binani and Ahmadu Fintiri, which of course will be a matter to be resolved at the polls tomorrow. But if you look at Kebbi State, going into this election, there are just about 10 incumbent governors who have their hat in the ring and were seeking re-election. One already in Zamfara State has lost the election. Adamawa is one of those states of the final state where we will see whether or not the man is able to retain his seat. But look at Kebbi. We had an incumbent governor perhaps who also wanted to become a senator, which hasn't happened. But look at Sokoto State, for example. The 3 senatorial districts will be conducting election, and about 11 federal House of Rep seats are also up for contest. That is going to be another hotbed. Hotbed in the sense that something to look out for. It's been notorious in the past elections, but the rec there was suspended. In view of the scenario that played out in Sokoto, for example, what are your expectations?
Well, I think this is where we need to commend INEC. Yes, during the February 25th elections, from the outcome of the process, a lot of us were aggrieved because INEC did not meet some of the expectations and promises they have made. But I think this is where you need to commend INEC, and this is where this is where it has shown that INEC has ensured that no one tried to interfere with their electoral work, and ensuring that the will of the Nigerian people actually prevailed. Yes, Sokoto is one state to look out for, particularly around electoral violence and post-election violence, particularly when the results have been declared. We know that there are 2 strong men there who are trying to hold forth, but I believe these 2 strong men need to understand that what we've learned from these elections are they're not strong men. It is the strong people with their permanent voters that determines the outcome. And the case of Kebbi State also, they're not strong men. The electorate will decide, and beavers, and which is the game changer. Why all of them are having nightmares or headache right now is the fact that beavers, have changed the entire game, where every vote actually counts. If before now, what we see are people manually writing results, and even before elections hold, they've declared a winner. So what is happening now is INEC is actually holding forth and ensuring that there'll be a fair play and the electorate will decide ultimately who becomes the winner. But I think also, and this is a message to the political actors, it's about the people, and you say you want to serve. And if the people have decided that you're not the one or the favorite person they want them to serve them, accept it. Or if you find any grievance, go through the judicial channel and seek redress. So again, to security agencies, particularly in Sokoto State, because we saw what played hand and why, INEC actually halted the election and agreed for supplementary election, particularly post-election and when results start trickling in Sokoto State. It's one state that security forces have to be on high alert, particularly.
On a final note, Hamzat, give us an understanding. There are those who are disappointed in INEC. INEC tried to redeem its image in the governorship election. Whether or not people were impressed by the outcome of the governorship election is up to Nigerians who are the judge to be able to determine that. But give Nigerians an understanding of the expectations on INEC. In which three areas do you think INEC must rise up to the occasion for tomorrow?
One is logistics, and we've seen that they've actually done well with the governorship and state assembly elections. Two is how they're able to also train their personnel, because one thing I saw is, some of the ad hoc staff and, some of the ad hoc staff and presiding officers were not well equipped and trained. And three is responsiveness. INEC needs to be more responsive. Before the elections, INEC were really responsive in sharing information, de-escalating fake news, misinformation, and disinformation. But you see, Sheon, if we choose to accept it or not, we've made progress. And we must commend INEC. Yes, we're not happy, but we need to separate the person from the institution. We need to continue to commend the women and men that have given their time and effort and sacrifice for where we are in our democracy. Come on, Sheon, when you look at election in 2003, in 2007, 2011, when you look at elections in 2023, we've actually made significant progress. Yes, we're not where we want to be, but we're not where we used to be. And this is also a critical moment for the 10th National Assembly. We must set an agenda where they need to look at, from the lessons and the gap we've experience from this election, what do we need to amend and how do we need to strengthen INEC as an institution to be more responsive, but particularly to be transparent and accountable in the resources that the Nigerian people have committed to them.
Hamzat Lawal, let me allow you to continue your religious obligation there in Saudi Arabia. Thank you so much indeed for your thought. We hope that tomorrow will go very well and all these elections will be concluded once and for all tomorrow. Thank you so much indeed, Hamzat Lawal, Chief Executive of Connected Development. Thank you indeed.
Thank you, Sheon. Peace be unto you.